It started with the faintest click of the patio latch, too subtle for anyone but me to notice. My breath caught before I even turned, and his hand was already over my mouth. Jake's palm was firm, not rough, but practiced, as if he'd done this in his mind 100 times before. His breath whispered across my ear, warm and deliberate, and the porch light flickered once above us, then blinked out. Darkness sealed the moment, but the sound of my husband Matt's snoring filtered down through the cracked bedroom window like a warning we were already too far past. Jake guided me down the wooden steps without saying a word. The grass beneath my socks was damp, still clinging to the heat of the day. I felt the fence at my back, the wood coarse and ready to splinter. The bug zapper buzzed in that low, hypnotic hum that Jake used to complain about every summer when he'd help with yard work. But tonight, it filled the silence between us, the only sound louder than my heart pounding in my chest. His fingers hovered at the waistband of my pajama pants, waiting, checking. I didn't flinch. I didn't pull away. I tilted my chin instead because looking down would have meant surrender, and somehow, I already had. Jake stepped closer, his knee slipping between mine. The night swallowed the small gasp that escaped me. I remembered signing his field trip slips years ago, with this same hand that now gripped his wrist. He used to thank me with a shy smile and voice that cracked with adolescence. Now his gaze held no tremble, just a steady, quiet claim. The fence behind me shifted with each movement, groaning with the weight of what we both knew couldn't be undone. A garden trowel behind the shed clattered to the ground, startled by our motion. I imagined it biting the dirt, just as his mouth found the base of my neck, the soft hollow I always ignored. I thought of dishes left in the sink, Bill's magnet pin to the fridge, and the wedding vows I said 19 summers ago. None of it pulled me back the way his thumb did, as it traced the curve of my ribs. He whispered, "You can stop me." His voice wasn't daring or demanding. It was calm, like a truth he already knew. I answered, "I know." But I didn't stop him. My body didn't move to break it. That's when I understood betrayal doesn't come with thunder. It comes with quiet, measured breath and choices we make without speaking. Later, I stood in the kitchen, morning light brushing against the flour trail left from baking. Steam curled from the mug I poured for myself, not Matt. I stared at it while he hummed upstairs, shaving. The bruise Jake left on my wrist wasn't violent. It was deliberate, a fingerprint pressed into skin, a map to the night before. I folded my sleeve over it, even though no one was watching. Most mornings I read the news. Today, I just stared at the old thread between Jake and me. There were no messages. There never had been. We never needed them. Matt came downstairs, distracted and mumbling about spreadsheets. He kissed my hair absent-mindedly. The paper corner scratched my cheek harder than his lips ever did. He asked if I'd paid the electric bill. I said yes. Our entire marriage had become a series of transactional checkboxes, safe and hollow. He didn't notice how I placed my coffee mug right at the edge of the counter, daring something to fall. My eyes drifted to the backyard. The lawn chair Jake used last night was tipped over, its aluminum frame askew. I went outside and picked it up, but left it facing the gate. An invitation, or maybe just a confession. The smell of grass was still in the towels I folded later that afternoon. With each one, I remembered Jake's breath behind my ear, the way his body pressed against mine in the dark, and how terrifying it felt to want something that much. The garage door groaned as I stepped inside hours later. The heat lingered, thick and stale. I was stacking paint cans when Jake came in, box in hand. He didn't knock. He didn't need to. He said he'd come to pick up something he'd left behind, but the air between us said otherwise. His eyes scanned me, not searching, just waiting. Watching. Not claiming. Not yet. The sleeve slipped, he said softly, eyes falling to my wrist. I didn't answer. I rolled the fabric down slowly, too slowly. He stepped closer, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear. His fingers were rough from years of yard work and car repairs, but the touch was gentle, reverent. My breath hitched. I backed up and bumped into the utility sink, knocking a hammer off the hook. The metal clang echoed like an alarm. He caught it mid-fall, and when his hand brushed my hip to steady me, I should have moved. I didn't. You already did, he said when I whispered. I can't. We stood there, silence thick and heavy like fog. Jake's fingers brushed mine under the faucet as cold water spilled out. His hand lingered just long enough to remind me of last night, the moment when everything tipped. I haven't just wanted last night, he said, voice like gravel and regret. I've wanted every quiet second you didn't know you were giving. His words landed like wet cotton, heavy, warm, impossible to shake off. I couldn't answer. I didn't need to. I saw it in his face. He wasn't trying to win. He just needed the truth spoken aloud. I raised you to be gentle, I whispered. And I still am, he replied. But you stopped needing gentle. You just needed someone to see you again. He leaned forward, lips close enough to taste my breath. I turned away, but my body didn't follow. The lights buzzed above us, blinking like they couldn't decide whether to stay on. I looked at the oil stain on the concrete. It looked like a heart. I'd never seen it before. I'm not powerless, I murmured. Neither am I, he said, but only one of us believed it. When Matt returned later that night, grocery bags in hand, I was already back in the kitchen, pretending to tidy up. The gloves I'd worn in the garden, now dirty with soil and something else, I hid under the deck. The earth would remember.
But Matt?
He asked if I wanted anything else from the store. I told him milk. The safe answer. The one I'd been trained to give. Outside, I heard Jake's car. The soft rumble of a familiar engine. He waited across the street, headlights off, like he always did. He didn't call. Didn't knock. He just waited. I stepped out. We didn't speak. The air between us said more than words ever could. My fingers brushed the car handle. I didn't open it. You don't have to, he said, barely louder than the rain beginning to fall. I know, I replied. But I didn't walk away either. Because sometimes the worst betrayals aren't the loud ones. They're the quiet choices. The doors we don't close all the way. The gloves we leave dirty side up, hoping someone else will name the mess for us. And sometimes they're the ones we choose to make twice.